Alright, Shalom, giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh. Hashem Yahweh Shabbat, Hashem Rachak, Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David. Just got to go out the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, Shalom, Yasharallah, Shalom. Alright, back in Genesis 49th chapter. Alright, today we're going to be dealing with the tribe of Dan, which ain't much to deal with. But let's just get into it. So it says, and Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel, your father. All right. The word days in the Hebrew is yawam. All right. Division of time, a period of time. All right. Today, yesterday, tomorrow. We go into the word last. It is the word acharyath. All right. Acharyath. And it means latter time, prophetic for future time. All right. So it's very interesting as we deal with the tribe of Dan, because there's really nothing prophetic about, well, there's one scripture that's prophetic, but even then, there's nothing we can speak on. So let's just get into it. Let's get down here it is, verse 16. So we'll go into his name real quick. Dan, all right. Dan, all right. Which means judge, okay? The fifth son of Jacob, the first son of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid. And as we talked about before, Samson was from the tribe of Dan. Ironically, or not really ironically, but he was also spoken about in the book of Judges, a time period where Israel would have a leader, all right, go off from the Lord, get jacked up by a heathen nation, ask for deliverance, set up another judge, all right. Over and over and over, it's the same process through the book of Judges, all right. So in particular, we're speaking on Samson because he was of the tribe of Dan. So yeah, fifth son of Jacob, the first of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, all right. Again, the name Dan means judge, like the example of usage, Daniel, all right. Danya Allah, all right. Dan, judge, all right. So, the name there means judge, all right? So it's there. The word Dan is judge, okay? So, let's just get back to the scripture. This is not going to be long at all. So it says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel, all right? Now, honestly, let's just pull it up, because there's a portion here, because this is not prophetic of future times. This is actually going back, right? So, what did I want to get? Okay, yeah, Judges 18, all right? And we're not going to read the whole, you could read the whole chapter, but just to read into a little, I guess you could say back history or back story on Dan, all right? But we're going to jump, we're not going to exactly read the whole chapter. I don't even know how long it is. Okay, 31 scriptures. So 31 verses, but we're not going to read the whole thing. We're going to jump, just get what I want to read. As a matter of fact, let's read this in the NLT. Let's do that. All right, not Dan 1. Not even 1. Judges 18 and 1. So it says idolatry in the tribe of Dan. Now, well, before we saw it says Danites seek territory, right? Because they were kind of unpleased with the portion that they had. They wanted to kind of expand. So that's pretty much what this chapter is going into. So Judges 18 and 1 in the NLT, it says, now in those days Israel had no king, and the tribe of Dan was trying to find a place where they could settle, for they had not yet moved into the land assigned to them when the land was divided among the tribes of Israel. So the men of Dan chose from their clans 5 capable warriors from the towns of Zorah and Eshtaol to scout out a land for them to settle in. When these warriors arrived in the hill country of Ephraim, they came to Micah's house and spent the night there. While at Micah's house, they recognized the young Levite's accent. So they went over and asked him, who brought you here, and what are you doing in this place? Why are you here? He told them about his agreement with Micah and that he had been hired as Micah's personal priest. Then they said, ask the Most High whether or not our journey will be successful. Go in peace, the priest replied, for Yahweh is watching over your journey. So the 5 men went on to the town of Laish, where they noticed the people living carefree lives, like the Sidonians. They were, which Hamites, right? They were peaceful and secure. The people were also wealthy because their land was very fertile, and they lived a great distance. Uh, a bird chasing squirrel over here. It says, and they lived a great distance from Sidon and had no allies nearby. It's probably near his nest or something. It says, when the men returned to Zorah and Eshtaol, their relatives asked them, "What did you find?" The men replied, "Come on, let's attack them. We have seen the land and it is very good. Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? Don't hesitate to go and take possession of it." It says, when you get there, you will find the people living carefree lives. The Most High has given us a spacious and fertile land lacking in nothing. So 600 men from the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol. And then you can keep reading because it keeps going to the same account. I'm going to jump down here just to get some more. As a matter of fact, right here, 27 says, then with Micah's idols and his priest, the men of Dan came to the town of Laish, whose people were peaceful and secure. They attacked with swords and burned the town to the ground. There was no one to rescue the people, for they lived a great distance from Sidon, and had no allies nearby. This happened in the valley near Beth Rehob. Then the people of the tribe of Dan rebuilt the town and lived there. They renamed the town Dan after their ancestor, Israel's son, but it had originally been called Laish. Then they set up the carved image, and they appointed Jonathan, son of Gershom, son of Moses, as their priest. His family continued as priest for the tribe of Dan until the exile. All right, so you can see uh, they weren't exactly perfect. All right, but it says, so Micah's carved image was worshipped by the tribe of Dan as long as the tabernacle of the Most High remained at Shiloh. All right, so yeah, so you see Dan was kind of going off there. All right, but just besides the point, just reading into a little history there and Dan, because that's all you can really pretty much do with Dan. I'm going to get one more right here in Amos chapter 8. All right, verse 14 says, and those who swear by the shameful idols of Samaria, who take oaths in the name of the God of Dan. Now remember, after Solomon's reign, the kingdom was split north and south. The north went all the way off. The servant that took over the north, he set up the golden calf, one in Bethel and one in Dan. All right. So as all the tribes, is a constant thing going off and worshiping idols. But as you see, the Danites were constantly going off with idols even before the split of the northern and southern kingdom. All right. They were just constantly going off with idols. All right. So it says, and those who swear by the shameful idols of Samaria, who take oaths in the name of the God of Dan, and make vows in the name of the God of Beersheba, they will all fall down, never to rise again. All right. Now, ultimately, does that mean that there's going to be no more Danites? No, you can't say that because we don't know. All right. We can't even speak of. I mean, you can't even speak of Dan, in prophecy. Revelation chapter 7. Dan's not mentioned. All right. You have Levi, who's mentioned as one of the tribes. Then you have Joseph, which he had the son Manasseh, and Joseph is interchangeable with Ephraim. So Ephraim and Manasseh, and Levi mentioned as part of the 12. So you have 12, 11, 10. So, and then the other 9 are mentioned, and Dan's not a part of those that are mentioned. All right. What else? Revelation chapter 21. Okay, in Revelation 21, when it mentions the 12 gates and 12 tribes of Israel, Dan is not mentioned. Now, does that mean that Dan are not the people of the Lord? Absolutely not. Okay, they're his people. As I said before, if there's going to be some Danites on the chariot, we'll find out. As they say, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Well, we'll board that chariot when we get to it. As far as speaking prophetically about Dan, no one knows. No one knows. You can't say that Dan is wiped out because you don't know. You can't say that Dan is I don't know, whatever you could think of. No one has any, if the real Danites out there, please stand up. Please stand up, okay? But there's nothing you can really say or talk about dealing with Dan, because there's nothing, prophetic wise that we can go into in the latter days that speaks on Dan. Anything you read on Dan is all going to be history wise. But as far as prophetic, there's nothing that we can speak on prophetically. Well, I guess, let me read As a matter of fact, let me get this real quick before I go back over there. Um, okay. 1 Corinthians 13:9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. All right. So, like I said, uh, we know that Dan was originally one of the tribes of Israel. Okay. Um, and he was part of the, well, I guess, well, I don't know, around that time. No, it was probably before then. So I can't even say he was part of the Northern Kingdom. All right. It would make sense that he was somewhere amongst the Northern Kingdom, but like I said, there's nothing we can say about Dan too much. We know in part, we prophesy in part. All right. Um, let's go back to Genesis 49. Okay. Genesis 49 and what, 17, 16. Okay. We'll read 16 again. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. All right. Now, he's not mentioned in Revelation 21 or Revelation 7 or any other, particular chapters that are prophetic about the children of Israel in the future. So we just have to wait and see what the Lord is going to do with Dan. All right. So it says, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse. Excuse me, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. Which is pretty much just dealing with his speaking of their like their war tactics or war maneuvers. The way they fight in combat or whatever. Say for Samson, he was a one-man army. All right, we all know that. All right, but just speaking on that. As a matter of fact, I guess we could read this now. After reading that, so let's go to Deuteronomy 33 and 22 says, "And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp." And notice that's the same thing it said about tribe of Judah, right? Judah is a lion's whelp. Okay, so it says, Dan is and of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. All right, and I believe Bashan was a territory uh in the tribe that Manasseh took over. As a matter of fact, let me see what comes up there. If I'm correct, that was like an area of the Manasseh's area. Let's see here. Yeah, a district east of the Jordan known for its fertility, which was given to the half tribe of Manasseh. All right, so really nothing else you can say about that either. All right, so it's not to say that Dan became the Manassites. No, that's not what it says. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's go to Genesis 49. I think there was another scripture, if I'm correct. Yeah, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. And now, verse 18 says, I have waited for thy salvation, O Yahweh. Now, however, that ties into the future, we really don't know. Like we said before, what's gonna be of the tribe of Dan, as of now, no one knows. And if there's something to be revealed in the future, then the Lord will reveal that in these latter days. All right. As far as us speaking on it, that's why we read Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13:9. We know in part, we prophesy in part. We can tell you about Dan, what will come Dan in the future times, then we be speaking about it. But there's nothing to speak about. All right, prophetically. I mean, you can say this scripture is prophetic, but even then, we can't even go into it and attempt to break it down because we just be going up. Because no one knows. No one knows anything of the tribe of Dan. All right. Anyone out there trying to tell you they know about the tribe of Dan, this, that, and the third thing, they most definitely are going off because no one knows. All right. So whatever is to be of Dan in the future days, if there is something to be revealed, then the Lord will reveal that when it's time. As far as now, obviously we don't need that information because it's not, that's not, it's not going to help us get salvation or whatever. All right. And the scriptures say that the things are written aforetime for our learning. So we don't have anything concerning Dan, all right, after a certain point in the scriptures, or even, when going to the future, as prophetic for the future, then that means we don't need to know it. All right. We have what we need to know within the scriptures already. So that's pretty much it, man. All right. Believe it or not, it's probably going to be the shortest try that we do it. All right. So Lord, will you edify to next time, Shabbat? Gonna say Shalom. Oh yeah, and the reason why we're not even talking about, because we're going through and identifying who these tribes are. Well, we can't say that Dan or, I don't know, the West Mexicans or something like that. I'm just making something up, right? It's the North Canadians, and right, no one knows anything about Dan. All right, that's the bottom line. All right, so yeah, that's it. Shalom.